The unease surrounding the recent ward delineation exercise conducted by INEC continues to generate reactions, interests. By way of a background, don't forget that INEC's delineation exercise was initiated in response to a 2022 Supreme Court judgment which mandated the commission at INEC to review and update ward boundaries in Warri Federal Constituency comprising Warri North, Warri South, and Warri Southwest local government areas as per constitutional requirements. Let's have conversations this morning on the Yoruba perspective to the issue with Dr. Imwere Ejiro, who is a researcher, activist, and Yoruba historical archivist. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Good morning, sir. Good morning, viewers.
What's the root, in your opinion, of this whole, should I call it confusion or unrest about this particular exercise of INEC?
Well, it is rooted beyond INEC. It is British colonialism. When the British came, they joined people, different tribes entirely, the Urobos, the Ijos, and Ichekiri, who hitherto have been living together peacefully without one lording it over another, and call it Warri. It was province. In fact, at the time, the entire Delta State was called Warri Province. And
was it a problem at the time?
There was no problem until the Ishekiri crowned a king for themselves, the Olu, in 1936. When they did the initial arrangement, there was no Olu. Most of the kingdoms in the Delta province then, that's Warri province, they were in a state of interregnum. In fact, most of the people had abolished monarchy, including the Ishekiris. They were now being ruled by chieftains. You understand? But when the British came, they wanted an organized system of government. And so they encouraged gathering people together. Those that had kings before, they resuscitated the monarchy, gave them king. Why those that don't have kings, like mainly the Urobos and the Ijos, practicing gerontocracy, ruled by elders, they will not place them. It's just for the purpose of easy access to tax collection. And so they call everything together and call it Warri. It didn't just happen here. For example, today this area is called Lagos. Ikeja is called Lagos. But the main Lagos is Eko. But that does not make the Oba of Lagos to say, I own everywhere, in as far as it is called Lagos.
So is that the situation?
Yeah, that's the Shekiri mindset. They say, once you call the place Warri, it's our property. They forget that Warri is a political creation. And that is why we have advised government. Since people are linking traditional kingdom to a political entity, change the name of, that was what Awolowo did in 1952. When they crowned him as Olu of Warri in 1952, the people in Warri province were protesting. The protest became so large that Awolowo understood the problem for the first time. It's okay, since he wants the title Olu of Warri, let's change the name of the province from Warri province to Delta province. And that was what calmed the situation. But unfortunately, Awolowo solved the problem halfway. He didn't change the name of the Warri division, which also contained the Urobos and the Ijos. And that is what is playing out today.
This matter, as you are talking about it dates back more than 60 years since the colonial masters left.
Yes.
We have had several democratic and military governments over the years. We have had members of the parliament and the federal government and the state governments from these areas that you're talking about. How come no one has been able to see the political problem that according to you has been known as far back as 1936?
But sometimes people forget that most of our problems are created by the government. And so to solve the problem, to me the same government to solve the problem becomes difficult. For example,
well, your people are in government. The legislator is government.
Good. When we say there are people in government, they are composite people. The Ijos are in government, the Shekiris in government, the Urobos are in government. From them, they have the common front. There have been various commission of inquiries. Since 1967, the Rodesvifo Commission, the Idoko Commission, the Danjuma Commission, the Edemeka Agu Commission. The recommendations are there. Create a separate local government for these three tribes. Government will do it. Some will not use their influence, their connection. You know, there's what connection is real in Nigerian politics. So, oh, this person is a wife to the president. For example, we heard today that the capital of Delta State that ought to be in Warri was moved to Asaba because the wife of the then president, Babangida, was from Asaba. So, connection is real. Look at, for example, the job crisis of 1997 to 2002. They followed the Commission of Inquiry. They put the local government headquarters in Ogbijo, which belongs to the Ijos. Within 2 months, it was taken to Ogidigbe, which is an Ishekiri town. And then the thing degenerated into a full-blown war for 5 years until it was brought back. But anyway, so that we don't waste time, we want to go straight to this delineation proper because time is not our friend.
The reason I'm asking is, okay, so this delineation issue now that interests are as divided as the issues are, we have elders in Ishekiri, we have elders in Urobo, we have elders in Isho. Is it impossible for the elders to come together and at least discuss it amicably?
That is the way forward. Negotiation. The Urobos and the Ijos, as I'm telling you, are negotiating. The gray areas, I'm an Urobo man. We too, in this delineation, we have our issues. The little mistake INEC made, we have identified, we've reported to INEC. INEC said, negotiate among yourself. Come. But the Ishekiris don't want to negotiate, like I told you. There is this colonial mentality of overlord that was given to them by the British. And it is, sorry to tell them, a burden too heavy for them to carry in the present reality. They can't carry that burden. The fact, for example, that the British placed you as the only king of the Warri province at that time, whereas there are other indigenous tribes. These things are, even in Bauchi State, like I told them somewhere, the area of Bauchi, the people of Tafawa Balewa village, who are Christians from the Sayawa tribe, were placed under the emir of Bauchi Emirate. And that has been the root cause of the Tafawa Balewa riot until recently the state governor had to give them their own king and gazetted it for peace to return. So, and the most painful thing is this, the Shekiris, who because of issue of, they were close to the British colonialists, they became the first to be educated. That was why they got this privilege, are the minorities. And so, democratically, the game will not favor them because they don't have population.
Okay.
Democracy is a game of numbers.
Okay. So, what's the solution for you? Now, you have talked about, you have agreed that the elders need to come together. Now, is that a political solution or a communal solution that you're looking at?
It's a communal solution, but it has to be facilitated by their political elites. But these political elites will be the beneficiary of the system. When voting, normally they will be the people that will get the votes of the people, go to House of Assembly, National Assembly, and the rest. So they have their own interest to protect. But everyone must come to the negotiating table because this delineation is an order from the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said whatever delineation that has been done in the Warri division, that is the Warri local government, is a nullity, it's not a void, that it was all rubbish. INEC should go and do it again, that the voters register is fraudulent, and that those words were fraudulent. And so INEC had to repeat it with the Supreme Court judgment in mind. Now, some of them were still relying on the old syllabus. But by the virtue of the Supreme Court judgment, a new syllabus has been given to INEC.
Okay. Okay. Just 1 second, Malpoe. My colleague has a question for you. Go ahead, Malpoe.
You know, looking at Warri and knowing the fact that, you know, all of these ethnic groups that you've mentioned, the Ijaw, the Shekiris, and the Urhobos, have mixed together for a very long time now. And you cannot exactly say, okay, this place belongs, or this place is strictly Shekiris, this place is strictly Urhobos, this place is strictly Ijaws. Yes, they have their, they have areas where they are dominant. However, you know, when you look at how elections work, you're usually working to elect 1 or 2 individuals, and sometimes communities must come together. Why are these numbers particularly important to either Shekiri, Urhobos, or Ijaws? Why?
Because, as you have said, there are areas that are Urobos, there are areas that are Ishekiris, there are areas that are Ijos. And the Shekiri man in power, we concentrate development of infrastructures on his community and his areas. He wouldn't bother to develop. So while some areas will look like highbrow areas like Ikoyi, the other areas will be looking like slum. And everybody sees it. So it's like using the common patrimony to perpetuate the interest of your own tribe. And that's not good for the existence of everyone.
That's what this is about. Is it about the governorship of the state? Because some people will argue. I mean, when you had Dr. Emmanuel Uduahan, some people said, oh, he didn't really concentrate resources in Warri, where he's from. He's Shekiri. A lot of the resources went to Asaba. He said he was concentrating on making Asaba look really like the capital of the state. So where precisely would you say that all of this is really coming from, this agitations for, you know, we are more than these people are?
Because democracy is a game of number. For example, it is very difficult for an honorable man today to become the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We also need development, like the Fulani people. We hear that we should have cities to be big as Lagos. Our cities should also be big as, for example now, the worst road in this country today is the Benin-Efrun Road. Simply because if our son were to be the president, it would be good, that road would be smooth. If we're coming from Efrun to Lagos, you spend about 3 hours on that road. But once you pass that Benin axis, from Warri to Lagos is very smooth. It all shows. We have the oil. Has Yoruba man been given the GMD of the NNPC before? No. The Fulani man will be appointed to come and supervise our oil resources. So also is the Yoruba man. So when people are in power, tribalism is entrenched and nepotism is entrenched in our policy. We cannot deny it. And it's also playing at the local level. And that is what is happening. It's either the capital infrastructure or using the wealth to empower their own people. That's what's happening.
Yeah, but how is that going to now come forward when, you know, you are also not united? So, for instance, if someone were to be appointed from Delta State, it will now be, oh, he's not my tribe, he's not Urobo, he's not Ijo, he's not Shekiri. Where, you know, who exactly, whose interest will he be representing? If the people of that particular state cannot come together, you know, to say this is our state and we want a total development of the entire state.
Yes, that's what we want. For example, we the Urobos, like you have rightly noted, Emmanuel Uduahan became governor. We the Urobos are the absolute majority in Delta State. It was an honorable man, James Ibori, who insisted that the Shekiris, being the least tribe in the state, should have a governor. After that, it should rotate to Delta North. But in Warri South local government, the Shekiri man has sworn that an Urobo man will never be the chairman of the local government, despite the fact that they all have 6 equal wards. And whenever, and you talk about people making petitions, whenever appointment is given, mark it, it is only when an Urobo man is given an appointment, the Shekiri man makes petition. The Urobo man and Ijo hardly does that. They hardly. We are coming here today to simply because the Shekiris were here before to distort the narrative. If not, we hardly come here to say anything.
Well, it's at the end of the day, what you want and what everybody wants, what everyone is looking at is a solution to all of this.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that, as you have said, let all the various important interests come together around the table, because there are political leaders and then there are communal leaders. I think, you know, that will eventually help. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Dr. Imwere Ejiro is a researcher, activist, and Urobo historical archivist. Thank you so much again for your time.
You're welcome.
Okay.